Hey there, moms. If we haven't met, my name is Kendra, and I'm one of the kids pastors here at Substance. It is an honor and a privilege to work with your kids. I come alive when I work with kids, when I'm helping them discover who God made them to be and how He wants to be their friend forever. I also have 3 girls myself, and so while working with your kids, it's not hard for me. My own kids hold up a mirror to all of my own imperfections and the areas that I need to grow in, and it can be challenging. So today I wanted to share with you one of the foundational tools that I reach for most often when it comes to both working with kids and parenting my own kids. And this tool can be used with kids of all ages. When it comes to babies and toddlers, it can help with language development and building understanding of how the world works, which is exactly what they're trying to figure out at that stage. And it can lead to higher levels of cooperation. And I don't know about you, but cooperation and toddlers aren't always used in the same sentence. If you have a pre-K or an elementary kid, it can help develop empathy and critical thinking skills and support your kids as they begin to manage peer-to-peer relationships. If you have teenagers, this can lead to greater receptivity in your leadership. Now, I know those sound like really big promises for a parenting hack, and I'll be the first to tell you that this is not a magic solution to all of your problems and will not guarantee instant compliance in your kids. But I can tell you that in my experience, this way of interacting with your kids is so helpful and has made such an impact on my own parenting journey. So what is it? It's called sportscasting. Now, don't worry if you are not into sports, this still applies. I'm no longer very sporty at this point in my life, but I still use it every day. Have you ever watched a football game and wondered, what is happening? Now, some of you are like, yes, I know exactly what's happening. Bear with me. Instead of football, think of a sport you don't understand as well, like rugby or baseball or high-lie. You got a bunch of guys lined up and the quarterback yells some things and everyone starts moving around and all of a sudden I'm like, where's the ball? I thought the quarterback passed it, but it was a fake and he threw it and now the ref is making these signals and I don't understand. I have no idea what's happening. This is our kids. It's a wonderful representation of our kids. Their brains are perceiving and interpreting information and creating schema about how the world works at about 1,000,000 miles a minute. But even with how much they are learning every day, there's still so much they just don't know. Think of a 1-year-old who hears a rumbling noise in the sky and starts looking around for the source. I know that it's an airplane. I can figure out which direction it's coming from. Or I know that it's thunder, and while it was loud and scary and made adrenaline rush through my body because I wasn't expecting it, I still know that I'm safe. They don't know that yet. Or their mom just handed them off to a kids volunteer on a Sunday morning, and their little body is flooded with a rush of fear. Involuntarily, their heart starts beating faster and their breath comes quicker, their skin feels flushed, and they have this feeling of dread in their stomach that they can't explain. They start signaling to their caregiver, something is wrong. They start crying. And while we know that they are safe, we know it's only an hour and then mom or dad is coming back to pick them up, they don't know that. Their body doesn't know that. So the play has started, people are running everywhere, and that little one just can't track the ball. And so you, the sportscaster, start explaining what is happening, where is the ball, and how it got there. You're giving all sorts of information that helps them make sense of the game. You are giving them information they otherwise might not have had, or you're highlighting information that you want to bring to their attention. You might say, you hear an airplane. It's flying in the sky. I see it over there. Or I might say, that's thunder. That was scary. It was a loud sound, but it can't hurt you. You're safe. To the baby being dropped off, what they often hear is, it's okay, you're fine. Shh, stop crying. What I might say to them if I'm sportscasting is, this is your class. I'm going to my class. I'll come back when it's done. This is your teacher. She'll take care of you. It's okay to be sad. I'll come back. Love you. As a teacher, I might say, it made you so sad when your mom dropped you off in class. It's okay to feel sad. She'll come back when her class is done. I'm here with you. When our littles are babies, this tool is great for helping them make sense of what is going on inside themselves, what's happening in the world, and how it all works. It's great for language development. I do this even with my littlest babies because even if they don't understand every single word that I'm saying, they're seeing my facial expressions and hearing the tone of my voice. They're feeling the tension or the calm of my body. When I sportscast, they know that I'm attuned to their experience, and all of those things help with making sense of the situation. Another reason that I sportscast is because kids get bossed around all day long. take a moment to think of all the times you give your child a direct instruction throughout the day. Get dressed, brush your teeth, put your shoes on, sit and eat, turn off the TV, pick up your shoes, don't touch the stove, put your toys away, eat your dinner, stop running. We give our kids so many instructions all day long because we are in charge. We're in charge of caring for them. We're in charge of making sure they don't get seriously injured and they get to school on time and they have a fighting chance at getting enough sleep for those little brains and bodies. We're in charge. And I'm not saying that your kids don't need to put their socks away or eat their dinner, but I'm saying that the way we go about the business of getting them through their day can be made easier when we start with sportscasting. It might be as simple as changing "put your shoes on" to "it's time to put your shoes on." I just gave a piece of information rather than telling them exactly what to do. Dinner is ready and at the table. Screen time is done for today. You'll get to watch another show tomorrow morning. That pan is hot. It will burn you if you touch it. It's slippery when you run on concrete with your socks. Actual things I've said to my child. And this seems so simple, you might be thinking, yeah, but what if it doesn't work? What if I tell my kids, screen time is done for today and you'll get to watch another show tomorrow? Or I tell them, it's time to turn the TV off, and they don't do it. Because here's the thing, sometimes they won't. Sportscasting is not a magic tool that creates instant compliance in our kids, and sometimes I'll need to move on to other tools like choice, compromise, connection, redos, or any other number of tools. But I'm willing to bet that you'd be surprised at the number of times your kids do respond simply by giving them information. Then you don't have to reach for those other tools. By shifting my language from a direct instruction to giving information, this also helps me save up my direct instructions for when they matter. Take this example. My 2-year-old running in her socks because her shoes have magically disappeared the second we walked in the door. Full tilt down the hallway at church, and she's about to hit that transition from the carpet to the concrete. Now, she is not expecting to slip and slide once she gets there, but rather than saying, "Stop running," I'm going to give her some information to work with and let her make a choice. It's slippery running on concrete with socks. She might end up with a skinned knee, but that's okay. Now, if she's running full tilt towards the sharp-edged baptismal that calls like a siren to any and all children in the foyer, "Come, you must jump from me," then I might use "stop." I know a whole lot more about physics and trajectory and velocity than she does. Less than a scientist, but more than a 2-year-old. Because while a skinned knee is something that I'm comfortable letting her assess and risk, organically learning about trajectory and velocity, a gash to the forehead and a trip to Children's is not. This is the moment when I come in with a direct instruction. Here's the thing, I have saved my stop, my direct instruction for when it matters. It's not just going to blend into the background of all of the other things I have told her to do that day. By simply switching the 1,000 instructions I give her in one day and maybe cut it down to 500, she's going to respond to those 500 with a little more awareness. One of my favorite examples to use comes from the slide at the park or in a kids class. You have a little one who's just slid to the bottom and taking their time moving on or laying there in their own little world, and I could say, "Move!" Or I could say, "Lenny is waiting to slide down." I might even go a little further and say, "If she hits you, it will hurt." And I can't recall a time that a child has stayed at the bottom of the slide awaiting impact. By giving information, that child was able to make their own informed decision, and their tunnel vision of life was expanded, if only for a moment. Another reason the tool of sportscasting is so useful is that it's a way to sidestep power struggles. I've recently been reading about a concept called counter will. Counter will is an instinctive resistance to any type of control. I'll say that again, an instinctive resistance to any type of control. It's instinctive, it's automatic, it's subconscious. When a child, or any human being for that matter, perceives there's an attempt at control being exerted over them, there is a natural, God-given instinct to push back. And this is healthy for development, and it comes out really strong in toddlers and teenagers because toddlers are developing autonomy. I am my own self, and I can make my own choices. And teenagers are developing identity, who I am apart from my parents. Oftentimes we see this as straight up defiance in our littles, and then we engage in a power struggle. And while we absolutely hold boundaries with our kids, there are times that you can do so by tweaking your language and offering information rather than giving an order. One of my favorite phrases to use when it comes to giving information rather than a direct instruction or an order is, "I can't let you, or I won't let you. When my 2-year-old is mad that my 5-year-old is playing with the doll that she wants, I can tell her, Charlotte is playing with that doll. You can have a turn when she's done. I might give it a beat and see how Lenny responds to this. There might be weeping and gnashing of teeth because everything is a huge deal when you're 2, and that's okay. It's okay for her to be sad and disappointed that she can't play with that doll right now. I might even tell her, that's so disappointing. You really wanted to play with that doll. But rather than expressing her despair with tears, she might reach out and grab the doll, and I can come in with more information. I can't let you take that doll from Charlotte. You can have a turn when she's done. If I tell her, don't take that doll, I have laid out an invitation to a power struggle, and her counter will instinct is going to perk up, ready to engage. Listen to the difference again and notice what happens in your own body when I say this. Don't take that doll. Now listen again. I can't let you take that doll. There is a difference in the way that our bodies perceive those two phrases. I don't need to invite her into a power struggle. Her impulse control is woefully undeveloped at this point in her life. Not underdeveloped, because it's right where it should be for her age. It's simply undeveloped. And by recognizing that I am the one with a fully developed brain and impulse control, and it's my job to keep everyone safe, I can calmly let her know that I'm not going to let her do that. And if she goes to grab it, I'll gently block her hand. There's no power struggle to engage in. That leaves us both frustrated and disappointed. Now, I know enough about my 2-year-old to know that sometimes when she's disappointed or frustrated over a toy, rather than giving a healthy release to that by crying, she might let it out by hitting her sister. And knowing this, I can start moving closer so that when she winds up, I'll let her know, I won't let you hit your sister, as I block her hand. This is actually very comforting to a child, to know that their grown-up is going to help keep them safe, even when they can't keep themselves safe. If you take nothing else away from this talk today, try out the phrase, I can't let you. I use sportscasting with children to give them information about the world and how it works. I use it in an effort to save up my direct instructions for when I really need to use them. And I use it to sidestep power struggles. You're positioning yourself and your children's brain for receptivity instead of poking at their reptilian brain and their counter will instincts. As your kids get older, giving them information outright can feel like another form of control. I once told my 6-year-old that it made her so mad when her sister knocked over her Lego castle, and it was met with, I am not mad. Of course not. So I shift my language again, and we'll add guesses into the mix. I wonder, or it seems like, are great places to start. It seems like that made you really mad when your sister knocked over your castle. Sometimes giving information is all I need in order to help kids assess a situation, persevere with a challenging task, or to resolve conflicts with their peers. And sometimes they need more help. And that's when I reach for some more of those tools, but we'll save those for another day. I hope that as you go about your day today, you can begin to use sportscasting as a parenting tool. It doesn't feel natural at first, but the more you practice with it, the easier that it will come to you. Let's pray together. God, you have created our bodies and our brains with such complexity. I love that we're able to study the way that you made us to work and to function. We know, God, that there's so much power in our words. There's the power of life and death. We know that a sweet word can turn away wrath. Your Bible is so full of words and verses and information about how to use our words. And so I ask that we can just learn together today, that we can grow together, that we can begin to harness the power of language to help us in our parenting journey. God, I thank you for these groups of women that are able to come together. They're able to learn together. They're able to support one another, to rejoice with victories in their lives, to comfort one another, to lean on each other and pray together. And so I just speak blessing over them right now. I speak blessing over their groups, over their conversation. I speak blessing over their kids and their families. We love you so much, Jesus. Amen.